All right, everybody who wants to listen, come on over. Suck it, old me. That's a good intro to the video right there, I think. Come on over, everybody. Come on, Kate.
Welcome to Habla con Mateo.
We needed that. Thank you, Kate. I needed that. This video needs some more flair than just my ugly mug. All right? So last week, I don't remember the day. I want to say it was probably Wednesday or Thursday. I gave a talk about health markers and like ones you should actually pay attention to or care about. The one we talked about last time is probably the most useless bit of information you get from your doctor, your BMI. And basically all I said to everybody last time is that your BMI is a relatively useless bit of information because it's nothing more than your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared with zero accounting for like what you're made of. Like, are you more fat or more muscle? That says a lot about how healthy you are relative to like what BMI says. We all talked about and shared stories of like, hey, been overweight since I was 20. I don't feel like I'm overweight. I feel like I have more muscle mass than the average person. Why don't we ever talk about muscle mass, which is like the number one predictor of how long you live? So we got in a whole discussion of why that's useless. And next time you go to your doctor, I encouraged everybody, ask them to get information on your body fat percentage because that'll tell you a lot about how long you're going to live and how healthy you are. Most of your doctors are going to be like, we don't have that equipment. Well, why do you have stuff for like things like blood tests, but you can't get one of those cheap pieces of shit that holds onto your hands and tells you you're 17% body fat? Seems illogical to me, but you know, that's neither here nor there. So I wanted to go into another health marker that I think is really important for you to look at and discuss with your doctor. And unlike BMI, which they think is important, I think is dog shit, triglycerides are actually useful bits of information. Triglycerides are nothing more than the fat or lipids and oils that are in your blood. It's just basically a measure of how much your blood, when they take it out of your body, has fat in it. Now, common question? Cool, why do I care? Right? Go to your doctor, they give you these numbers, and you're like, got it, doc. You need this medication. All right, why do I care? You're going to die if you don't have it. Oh, it sounds important. I'll take this medication. Well, your triglycerides are a very, very good, reliable, and inexpensive measure of how sensitive you are to insulin. And what we talked about way back, if you don't remember it, is how important insulin sensitivity is and how it's something you want to have to be a healthy person. When you ingest carbohydrate, your body releases insulin to get the sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells, where it belongs. If you constantly bombard yourself with carbohydrate, you constantly have spiked insulin levels, and all of a sudden that insulin receptor doesn't work anymore and the sugar stays in the bloodstream, and then before long you're injecting insulin to survive or live. Now, because it's a good marker of insulin sensitivity, and insulin sensitivity is probably the most important thing you should look at when you go to your doctor, having low triglycerides, low, not high, is what you want to see. And typically they call on you pathological right around over 150 is like the cutoff number. If you're over 150, they say you have high triglycerides and you're no longer healthy. And they'll often prescribe you a statin. That's like the number one thing they give people with high triglycerides is a statin. They also give the statins to anybody over the age of 65. So if they tell you that, say no thanks. They do that because they want to reduce your heart attack risk. The reason why they say take this statin is it reduces mortality, you're going to live longer. They don't mention that like for the statins that have an effect, it needs to make you live longer. And the average length of life increase for someone on statins versus not is 4 weeks. So be on it for the rest of your life and live 4 weeks longer, maybe. They also don't talk about numbers needed to treat, which is like when you put someone on statins, you need to give 200 people statins for one single person to have an effect. So the other 199 are just taking the thing for shits and giggles. It's not doing anything for them, which is terrible because of all the other things that are associated with that drug. But when we look at our triglycerides, we get a good idea of how insulin sensitive we are. We also, using that number, triglycerides, and another number we get in our blood panel, HDL, high density lipoprotein, the ratio between those two things has been studied and shown to be a much better predictor for risk of future heart attack, which is myocardial infarction. So if you say MI with a doctor, they're thinking heart attack. The ratio of triglycerides to HDL in folks that are healthy is under 5. So for example, you go to your doctor, they tell you your HDL is 25 and your triglycerides are 150. That's a ratio of 6-to-1. You are at a higher risk of having a heart attack. If you're Josh, your HDL was what?
92.
Cool, and your triglycerides were what? 40. That sounds like the ratio I want. Right? He's got twice the amount of HDL that he has triglycerides. That's a sign of a very metabolically healthy person, despite what he'll tell you.
Yeah.
He's got great insulin sensitivity. He's got amazing high-density lipoprotein. Really healthy. So, the reason why most of us get concerned, we go to our doctor, we get our blood panels, is the fear they put into us that you're going to have a heart attack, you're going to die next week. The next time you get your blood drawn, look at this ratio, and if it's under 5, steer clear of the statins, in my opinion. Obviously, you can listen to your doctor, do whatever you want, but I don't think you should be on drugs electively. You should take them if they're going to save your life. Statins do not save lives. So, how do we get better at improving this ratio, which is probably the thing that's most important for me to communicate to you all? Like, this other stuff is really cool and all, but this is what I care about, is actually having profound change, boots on the ground, see you guys be healthier and live longer. Because just like your Fran time, your DT time, I care about these two things just as much because they all are a full package of a healthy person. A healthy person is free of disease and dysfunction. They don't just have good health markers, but they can do shit too, which is what CrossFit affords us. So the 3 ways we improve HDL. Does anyone remember this? We've done this before, but I want to see what we remember. There are 3 different things you can do with your body to improve your HDL. Anyone know? I bet you guys can guess one of them really easy because I talk about it all the time. Yeah! Excellent. Increase your exercise, particularly moderate to high intensity. Right? Low intensity like walking, unfortunately, doesn't do very much for your HDL. That's one. What's another thing I talk about all the time? Don't shut up about. No sugar. Beautiful. Decrease processed. CHO is abbreviation for carbohydrate. Just one more thing. It's something you have to ingest. Good guess. Nope, good guess. Good guess. We've got 2 macronutrients covered as one is missing. Yeah, eat quality fats. Quality fats, specifically the saturated kind. So like coconut, olive oil, things of that nature are extremely healthy for you. Ingest plenty of that stuff. Don't worry about them, killing you. They're not going to. Second thing, dropping triglycerides. I'm going to give you a hint. One of them you already said. Good guess, Kim, but no, sorry. Yeah, it's carbohydrate. One more, and we haven't said it yet. There's one more thing that improves triglycerides almost as much, if not more, than decreasing your carbohydrate intake. I'll give you a hint. We talked about it at the whiteboard a couple weeks ago about whether or not they mix. Alcohol. Decrease alcohol. So if you're looking to avoid a heart attack, to have insulin sensitivity and be metabolically healthy, you want to raise your HDL, you want to decrease your triglycerides, and you want that ratio under 5. And you do that by coming here and working hard, avoiding processed junk, eating quality fats, and avoiding alcohol. Now, obviously, like we talked about before, Larry, you're a human being. Enjoy your life. If you want to have a pop every so often, have one. Just don't have 4 every night if you want to be healthy, right? It's always about what your priorities and your goals are, right? You want a 6-pack and you drink a 6-pack, you're not going to have one. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Sorry, Josh. All right, what questions do you guys have? Fuck. I hear they do shots next door for that. Any questions? Avocado, coconut, saturated fats, like some of the percentage of fat you're going to have on animals. You eat fat off the animal. Like you cut off the fat off the ribeye and instead of throwing it away, you eat it.
So when you say that triglycerides are a reliable indicator of insulin sensitivity, in what
Great question. So what do I mean when I say they're a great marker? When your body is producing triglycerides at a high level, it's typically because it's stimulated via insulin sensitivity no longer being a thing, and as a result, your liver overproduces cholesterol. So when you overconsume carbohydrate, typically what you're doing is overconsuming fructose. Fructose kicks on a bunch of downstream effects, which causes your liver to produce more triglyceride, which elevates it. It's essentially the mechanism for how that works. Yeah, so basically, you eat too much carbohydrate. Some of that carbohydrate is fructose. Fructose causes the liver to produce extra triglycerides. Triglycerides now circulate in your bloodstream. That's very simplified. If any doctor is watching this, don't slap me, but that's basically what happens. Yeah, I can send you something about Misty. It's pretty interesting. It's not like ultra complicated. You're not like, ugh, I can't read this. It's not like a medical journal, but talks about it. I know you can read it, but like I'm saying, like, I also don't want to bore you to tears either. Here's 87-page dissertation on how liver enzymes. True. That should happen. All right, well, guys, thank you for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll think about what the next one's going to be soon, but I'll see you guys tomorrow for back squat day. You're welcome.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Where'd Kate go? Did she have you do it for her? What a